Hi, and welcome back to Taking the Lead. This is a video podcast where we get to interview leaders, mostly from the PR and marketing professions, but most of all, these are leaders I respect as leaders of people, as motivators, as inspirers of people. And sometimes I get to spend time with a friend. So let me introduce you to my friend, Joel Curran. He is the vice-chancellor of communications for respected institution, UNC-Chapel Hill. Joel, welcome to Taking the Lead.
Hey, Ken, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to join you for a conversation.
Great. So we're going to dig right in, as we always do. So we're leading through uncharted waters, uncertain times. I don't call them challenging, but that's for another video. But what leadership tenets have you always lived by? And you were corporate, you were agency. What leadership tenets have you lived by that are helping you lead your team down there through these uncertain days as we face something, for which there's no playbook? We've never faced this before.
Well, that's a very good point. And I think one of the things that I have found that's so important is to have a culture that's built around planning. And of course, one of the key things is to have the mission of the organization, in our case, the university, in the center of everything we do. So from that standpoint, we look at, hiring great people. And if you have great people in place, they will know how to improvise in the field when needed. We look for diverse points of view. Even in a time of crisis, you don't want to have in the room people who are just going to go along because that's what you think the boss wants to hear. You want people who are willing to stand up and say, wait a second, have you thought about this? And then finally, I find that I need to just ask a lot of questions every day. So when we're troubleshooting and working our way through whatever the challenges are, I still ask a lot of questions and make sure that, I am making sure I'm thinking and everyone else is thinking about all the different options we have in front of us.
Great, great. Those are always helpful, but especially today. So now let me ask you, what new leadership approaches or skills have you applied over, the last 6, 7, 8 weeks that are especially valuable as you lead a team that's working from home and a campus that's learning from home?
Yeah, it's fascinating experience because we have so many layers. Of course, we have our own team. We work across a campus that includes many different types of positions and responsibilities, faculty, students, many layers around those. And so one of the things that I found very helpful is, to maintain a rigor of communication. So rather than, letting people just sort of move away, we've really worked hard to keep people very close and in the center. One of our key strategies, in fact, for the entire campus has been use communications to create a greater sense of community despite everybody's, vast deployment. So we really worked hard to make sure that the team works together in that way too. We look to get more people involved. One of the things that we found out is by giving, taking advantage of the disruption and giving some of our junior staff opportunities to really stretch out and grow. And we're finding new leaders emerging. So that's another thing that we have found very helpful. And then finally, and I think this has been something that I would not have predicted going into this, is redefine productivity. So in the past, when somebody works 8 to 10 hours or whatever the time is, you sort of have a certain level of expectation for productivity. Now you have to look at it differently. We have a lot of people working from home. They have a lot of distractions, children at the very least. And so now we're telling people, hey, really laser focus in on being more efficient. And we used to say it, and it didn't necessarily have the same meaning, but now people understand they can be much more productive and have more time available for the things that are in front of them, like family and loved ones. So it's been a real amazing experience for many people, and it's been a real aha for me as well.
Great points. And, I think in addition, some of these strategies that we've developed or emphasized during these uncertain times, I think they're going to carry over to the new normal, right? I think we're going to realize this is the right way to work. And we can create our own efficiencies. And we do have leaders everywhere. And we can create a sense of community, even if we're not physically together. So I think that's going to benefit us going into the future. So speaking of the future, we're now slowly but surely talking about returning to normal. Of course, that's going to be a new normal or a changed normal. Let's predict. What do you think that new normal will look like?
Well, I think first of all, the new normal is going to be shifting around quite a bit. I think one of the things that we are going to learn is that a new normal is going to be a very fluid experience and a very fluid situation. So we still have a long ways to go before we get to the other side of whatever this is. But I will tell you, obviously, remote work, the gig economy, I think those things are going to start to come together really nicely, not just for employees, but for management. I mean, one of the things we're finding is that as people learn how to work better and more efficiently, and all these tools are available to us, Slack channel, Zoom, all these other wonderful technologies that are available. Yes, we can work remotely, but I will tell you, I don't think anybody in our profession would agree that remote work replaces the face-to-face, in-person relationships that we have that mean so much to us when it comes to creativity, general ideation, the ability to read somebody's body language and realize that the communications that we are looking to deploy may be wrong, and it's the unspoken words and the little hints and clues that we can pick up. But I will tell you, the other things that we learn ultimately are the small businesses that we depend on in our communities are so important and vital. And I think this has been a wake up call for everybody. And certainly in our case, we're talking right now about how we source products for the campus for, masks and things that employees may need. How can we go local, hyper local if possible, and help out local businesses? And then finally, we're looking at this new phenomenon of remote instruction, not online courses, but remote instruction. And our faculty said it best. Yes, we can teach remotely, but we like to have students together. It's the interactivity that makes a dynamic experience for our students. And I think it's the same way for work. I don't mind, and I think, frankly, think it's a very good thing to have people working remotely. But I also think it's important to bring people together, especially in cases where you need to be able to have that creative energy that fuels big ideas. So I think we're going to see a combination of those things, but we still have a ways to go before all this plays out.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I've actually done some training and workshops virtually in the last 3 weeks, and it was energizing. It was great to have the energy from the students, et cetera, et cetera. But as someone who's been an adjunct and obviously done a lot of training in person, there's nothing like the magic that goes on in the classroom. It's a wonderful thing. So we're going to be figuring it out. And let me share, if you've ever been in one of my workshops on leadership, I should have said this at the beginning, you'll recognize Joel, because every one of my sessions includes not even Joel's photo, but of course one of his quotes. And my favorite quote from Joel, so we're going to share this with all the leaders out there. If you're having challenges delegating and empowering, Joel put it succinctly, I hope I capture it, create the objectives, present the vision or the strategy, and get the hell out of the way. And that's such a good mantra for leaders. Just, so succinct and so accurate. And it's something that challenges leaders. But once you're comfortable doing that, it just changes everything. So I always say to Joel, thank you for that gift that keeps on giving. So,
well, thank you. And I have so many people attending your workshops who are kind enough to send me screen grabs when something appears up on the screen behind you. So it's always very flattering, and I'm grateful to be remembered that way. Thank you.
That's great to hear. It was so much fun spending time with you today. Thank you for your insights and your energy, and stay safe out there.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for what you're doing. I've been appreciating the time with you. Thank you.
Take care.